Hello and welcome, friends. Today we have an interesting story with us, but before you start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the notifications button to get all our videos to you. One of the weird and mysterious things in our world stands out is Busby's damn chair, which is said to be used by anyone who sits on him by a strange curse that eventually leads to his death. The story started in the late 17th century. There was a coin forger called Daniel Otti. He bought an old farm in a small town in the north of Yorkshire, England. He chose the farm in a remote and quiet place, away from the city, to create a press to rig his work. He created a very large room under the farm and brought the forgery press and all the tools related to it. He fortified this room so hard to penetrate. He created a system of extreme protection for her, even if someone came undesirable and did not know what he was doing. No one knows where the farm's secret entrance is. This farm was called Daniel Otti. This man had a daughter named Elizabeth. She lived with him on this farm. Elizabeth fell in love with a man named Thomas Busby, but her father was not welcome. But Elizabeth loved him and married him, forcing Daniel to agree for his daughter. Daniel then made Thomas his partner in coin forgery, as Busby's work was to run the fraudulent business. He was staying with his wife in a local hostel away from her father's farm because he drank so much all the time. Daniel then felt he was wrong when he married his daughter to that person. He was also mistaken when he partnered with him to forge currency, which then caused Daniel to consider divorcing his daughter from that man. Thomas always sat in a lodge bar and drank liquor, and always sat in a chair that was special and favorite for him. Thomas was warning those in the bar not to sit in his chair. If he sees someone sitting in his chair hitting him, the bar's customers are so used to not sitting in his chair. Daniel went to the hostel and fought with his daughter and tried to take her to his farm with him away from her husband, but she refused. At that time, Thomas returned to the hostel and had a major altercation between them. When he did, Thomas beat his father-in-law, forcing him to leave and return to his farm without his daughter. But Thomas did not forgive his father-in-law, so he went behind him and waited for him at the farm. When Daniel returned, Thomas killed him. He was said to have killed him with a knife and was said to have beaten him with a hammer. He then buried him, but several days later they found his body. The police charged Thomas Busby, and when the police went to arrest him, they found him in the bar sitting in his chair, and when they came to pull him out of the chair, Thomas screamed and said that whoever would sit on that chair would die. Busby was subsequently sentenced to death and was on his way to execution. He was warning that no one would sit on that chair or he would die because he put a curse on it. Years after his death, many deaths associated with that chair were recorded. That chair became very famous, and many people came to him watching it. The hostel owner then changed the name of the hostel to Busby, relative to Thomas, in my name. We then come to the most famous death events that were caused by that chair. In the early 19th century, a worker cleaned his vintage chimney and then sat to rest in Busby's damn chair. The next day, they found that worker killed and lying in the street in the same place as Busby's execution. Another case. During World War II, there were some soldiers who went to that bar while they were back on vacation. One of them challenged his friends that he would sit on that chair and nothing would happen to him. He told them that there were no curses but a myth, and then he sat in a Busby chair. The next day, they found him lying on the roof of a house, and many of the soldiers who had been with him in the bar had disappeared in the war and had never returned to their homes again.
Another case, there were two pilots who went to the bar to drink liqueur.
They challenged each other on who would sit on that chair. One of them first sat in the chair, and the other sat down after him, and then as they went to work in the army, they died in a traffic accident. There were many other incidents that occurred to everyone who sat in that chair. The hostel owner then placed that chair in the bar's basement. Then there was a postal worker who brought a parcel to the bar owner and told him to put it in the basement next to the liquor boxes because it was large. The man came down to the basement and saw the damn chair and sat on it to rest. And then the same day he died in a work car accident. When the owner of the bar died, the heirs donated this chair to a museum and asked out the museum's administration not to put this chair on the floor and to hang it on the wall so that no one will sit on it, and to this day, there is this chair in that museum hanging on the wall. He hangs next to him with a paper that tells the details of this chair.
A damned ring. One day, renowned American actor Rudolph Valentino was walking around a street in San Francisco. Valentino saw a ring in a small store that was a silver ring with a decent stone clove. He was very impressed with this ring and decided to buy it, but the shopkeeper told him that this was a ring for offer only and not for sale. But Rudolph Valentino insisted on buying it, and the shopkeeper told him that this was a ring of destiny and a cursed ring for anyone who wore it. But Valentino didn't care what he said and insisted on buying it, and actually sold it to him by the shopkeeper. Valentino was born in 1895 and reached his summit of fame in 1920 in America and caused great fanfare in the age of silent films. But when he bought the ring, his life was turned upside down. First, his film The Young Raja failed. He became infected while undergoing surgery and was diagnosed as an inflammation of the appendix, knee, and a sore stomach. He underwent surgery but died age 31. The ring then moved to his beloved actress, Paula Negri, who fell sick immediately after she put the ring in her finger. When she finally began to recover, her artistic career was destroyed, and she decided to get rid of the ring by giving it to young singer Ross Colombo, who was known as Valentino. But he died in a shooting accident shortly after wearing that ring. The ring then moved to his close friend Jokesen, where he was hit by his car and died at a young age. A month later, a robber entered John's brother's house and stole the ring, but the police shot him and the ring in his pocket. The ring then arrived at the director Edward Small, and he wanted to create a film where he would talk about Valentino's life story. An actor named Jacques Don chose to play Valentino in the film. He gave him the ring and told him he was going to wear the ring during the shoot. But this actor died of a blood condition just 2 weeks after wearing the ring. Who's next? The ring is now in the basement of a bank in Los Angeles. Some say he survived many attempted burglaries and fires. Others say it was stolen again. I don't know exactly where he came from, and I don't know where he is right now, said writer and journalist Elise Wax Ripley, then pointed out, the tragic events accompanying him have already occurred, but I don't think the ring is cursed. I think it's a series of unfortunate incidents that are nothing more, and people's imagination has linked it to the ring. Although I don't believe in curses, but I admit the sequence of events is already surprising. I don't blame anyone who believed it was anathema. The timing of accidents is already terrifying. Some say that Valentino's ghost is still looking for the ring and wanting to destroy it. So far, fans are still pouring into the Hollywood Forever Cemetery every Valentine's Day to visit Valentino's tomb, leaving him gifts and cards. Many reported seeing him walking between gravestones. He's also said to have been seen in restaurants, Paramount Studios, and 2 places in the city where statues of him are located.